More planes in the air, any more Chalks planes?
Haven't seen any activity here, but whether they're continuing to maintain operations subsequent to this crash, I honestly can't tell you at this point because they're not talking to us. I can tell you that during the high season, Chalks would operate 8 flights a day, flying from Fort Lauderdale and Miami to Paradise Island in the Bahamas and to Bimini, the resort island north of the Bahamas out there. 8 flights a day normally, and they only operate during daylight hours. The reason for that being there are no landing lights out there on the ocean, so these planes have to be able to see in order to take off and land, so they only operate during daylight hours. 8 flights a day during the high season. Whether subsequent scheduled flights this afternoon have or have not been canceled in the wake of this tragedy, we just don't know at this point.
Is it a small, like in Miami, it's very much a small building that's removed from any other area? Is that the case with the Chalks headquarters in Fort Lauderdale? So you wouldn't necessarily have access to a screen showing the flights and their status?
No, as a matter of fact, they're not even letting us into this building here at Fort Lauderdale International Airport. This is the Chalks International Airlines headquarters. It is a small 2-story building, not much bigger than if it were a 2-story convenience store, perhaps. That's the size of the actual physical plant facility. We can see out back, we don't have an angle on it from here though, but out back there is one of their seaplanes, venerable old seaplanes parked out on the tarmac behind this building. And folks inside have darkened the lobby. There's a Christmas tree, the only illuminated thing in the lobby of this Chalks International Airlines headquarters at this hour is an illuminated Christmas tree. Folks inside have darkened the lights in the lobby, obviously in an effort to keep the prying television and newspaper cameras away at what has to be a very devastating time for these folks. We've seen some folks arriving, entering the building, tears being shed. Just a tragic time for this small and historic company having suffered this disaster here today.
All right, Gary, stand by there. As soon as someone from Chalks comes out and speaks, we will, of course, go back live to Gary Nelson there, bringing us that report from the headquarters in Fort Lauderdale. The rescue and recovery operation still underway in Government Cut, which has the port closed down. Let's go to Joy Purdy at the breaking news desk. Joy?
That's right, Rob. We're getting some information from a couple of the cruise lines that are there, obviously not going anywhere because Government Cut was closed at about 2:45 this afternoon. I'm going to read this information for you that was just handed to me. Royal Caribbean, their message is they have one ship that is not going anywhere until the Coast Guard opens the port. That ship, the Majesty of the Seas, was getting ready for a 4-night cruise. It was scheduled to leave at 5 p.m., so in about 40 minutes. They're telling us that the folks will stay on board that ship, and as you know, anyone who's taken a cruise before, you're usually there several hours ahead of time, so I would imagine the guests are already on that ship, Majesty of the Seas. They will be staying on board. Also, we're receiving word from Carnival Cruise Lines. The cruise line will not be canceling cruises, but they may have their departures delayed since they usually leave at 4 o'clock, which the 4 o'clock hour straight up has come and gone. But they want all of their customers, their passengers, to know they are not canceling anything. They are delayed. Those are the only 2 that we've heard from so far. We are checking the others in the area, and as soon as we get more information on the cruise lines, of course, we'll bring it to you. At the breaking news desk, Joy Purdy, CBS 4 News.
All right, Joy, thanks. I want to ask you a question, Maggie, if it's okay. You flew them down in the islands, though, but you're familiar with the area there as well as I am. I see the planes coming and going, taking off. The headquarters is in Fort Lauderdale. Is there an office people go to at the Port of Miami before they get on the plane? Or do they just meet the plane at the dock?
Well, I didn't take it from Miami, so I don't know. But I know you see the planes stationed there off Watson Island, and they have a small building. So I'm sure if your flight is scheduled out of Miami, you would report there like you report to any terminal at Miami International Airport, let's say, for your flight. That's how it was down in St. Thomas. It was a very just simple building on the water, and you report there like you would any terminal.
Quaint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
Quaint.
of the great appeals of the airline itself. One of the oldest.
The oldest
the oldest
continuously
scheduled
operating airline in the world. And this is their first fatal accident. And as you saw from Gary Nelson's report, they are just torn up about it. This is very much a family ambiance because it is such a small company. And they have darkened their lights of their building, and they are in mourning because this is a family. This is people who fly the same route every day. They all know each other very well. And it's a small group of people who are having to deal with a tragedy. We haven't had any word yet on what they're instructing family members of the victims to do. So know that we're trying to get that information from them, but as you saw in Gary Nelson's report, Chalk's Airline is still not speaking. As soon as they have a statement, I'm sure that will be part of it, and we'll pass it along.
We're also waiting word for the 6 people unaccounted for as of this time. The Coast Guard reporting to us that 16 passengers and a crew of 2 were on board the plane, and that 12 people have been found dead in the wreckage. You can see these are the police boats standing by. They have divers under the water looking through the wreckage. We did have some reports that there could have been survivors, so we haven't lost all hope at this time. But I imagine they're just still trying to make sure that they have everybody accounted for.
And as you see, it's not only the Coast Guard. This one's from Miami Beach Police. You have several agencies handling this. This was a rescue effort, and now it's primarily a recovery effort, because if indeed there were survivors, the presumption is that they have already been spotted. Otherwise, how would we know that there are survivors? So this is a recovery operation right now. Miami Beach Fire Department was the one that had reported survivors, and then the Coast Guard reported that as well. But we have not heard any further word on this, so unfortunately, hope is dwindling with this late hour. Witnesses who saw this on the beach and witnesses who were in the water say it was an unbelievable sight. The plane exploded, the wing came off, both engines were smoking shortly before the explosion, and then the pilot just took a nosedive into the water.
We're watching a couple of boats come in the corner of your screen now. That appears to be the area where they are bringing the victims of the plane crash, right there by the Coast Guard Station Miami Beach building. And that's one of the Coast Guard boats there. As Maggie mentioned, Miami Beach Police also on the scene with their divers. Their boat was just coming in. And you're looking at Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, their boat with the divers all geared up on the back right now. This is a live picture from Chopper 4. So they're very much still busy searching the area.
This is a very busy time for Chalks, as you all know, especially living here in Florida. This is a time when tourists flock to our state to get away from the cold, and they take advantage of the great weather to fly down to the Bahamas or take a cruise down to the Bahamas. Chalks connects South Florida with the Bahamas. They have 8 regularly scheduled flights during peak time, back and forth to Bimini and Paradise Island from Miami and Fort Lauderdale. So you have to assume that these passengers, these 16 passengers on board, many of them were headed there on holiday, which just adds to the tragic nature of this. This is people who were happy time of year, looking forward to their vacation, and it's just a tragedy that no one could have seen coming, especially when you consider Chalk's impeccable safety record.
And we're still waiting for a statement from the airline itself. We have Gary Nelson at the headquarters in Fort Lauderdale. We have reporters at the Coast Guard Station Miami Beach, a reporter on the beach itself. And of course, Chopper 4, you're looking at live video of the rescue and recovery operation, which is still very much underway in Government Cut. The small picture in the corner of your screen is from the Coast Guard Station, and you can see one of their boats is returning right now. This is also the area where they are bringing the victims and offloading them from the boats.
The bottom of your screen says the FBI is now investigating. In case you haven't been with us our entire coverage, the reason for that is because witnesses report explosions, and in this day and age, post 9/11 especially, they have to take into consideration that the possibility of terrorism or some other foul play exists, though that doesn't seem to be the case right now, according to an FBI spokesperson. They cannot rule out that possibility, and so along with the NTSB, which are the routine investigators in a situation like this, the FBI has joined the fray as well, and their primary focus will be to rule out foul play. And to describe for you what you're seeing, the bottom of your screen was Coast Guard Station Miami Beach, where the bodies are being processed. You have Coast Guard members dressed in white. It is protective gear. They are bringing the bodies off the boats, these boats you see here in the water that have been in the water since 2:30 when this happened. They have subsequently pulled out 12 bodies, 12 victims of this crash, taken them over to Coast Guard Station Miami Beach, where the bodies are being unloaded, placed in body bags, and taken inside into a staging area. You see, this happened right in view of all the the high-rises in downtown Miami. This is Fisher Island right here. A lot of people potentially saw this happen. It was a beautiful afternoon, so there were certainly plenty of people in the water as well. Plenty of people have a good view from their balconies down there in Miami Beach. So the NTSB will have plenty of people to investigate that, along with the wreckage